Hi everybody, this is Annemarie Cross, Brand Communication Specialist from annemariecross.com. And today I wanted to share with you some of the major points that I shared on a recent webinar that I did for a number of colleagues in my social network. And it's sponsored by our Ruby's Biz Acceleration Coaching Club, which is currently under development and will be launching a little bit later on this year. And the topic of the webinar was time management, simple steps to gain 5 hours in your week. Business owners can tend to spend their energy on the wrong types of activities. And so this is just a really good reminder on what we should be doing in our business to help drive our businesses forward and grow our businesses while also maintaining our health and our well-being and our sanity. All right, before we move on to the tips, I just wanted to share some results from a study that Practical Achievement did some time ago when they approached a number of small business owners and asked them, how much time are you spending in your business? Now, according to the survey, 88% of small business owners work more than 50 hours per week, which is quite considerable, isn't it? However, even more considerable is that 30% of those 88 people worked more than 70 hours a week, which to me sounds really scary because, look, there's only so many hours in a day, and if you find that you're burning the candle at both ends, it really is something that you'll find can impact not only your health and well-being, but also the growth of your business. Alrighty, let's have a look at some of these strategies. Well, first of all, I think it's really important that you recognize your strengths and your interests. You don't want to be doing things in your business that you really want to avoid and that you really detest. Such activities like accounting and bookkeeping and filing and all those sorts of things. If those are activities that you really don't enjoy doing, then you need to look at ways in how you can outsource those so that you can recognize your strengths and really play on those. What often happens is when we're doing tasks and functions in our business that we enjoy and that really play to our strengths, we find that we don't need to invest so much time and energy in those activities because it's something that comes naturally to us, we enjoy it, and therefore everything just flows along so much more smoothly. And so very important to identify your strengths. Secondly, you need to avoid becoming the yes victim. Now this can be for demanding clients who have a job or a project that needs to be done by the end of the business day. Now, rather than saying yes to them and being the yes victim, you need to be able to identify and stand up to those boundaries. And often if you look at those demanding clients, they're probably the ones that are generating the least amount of income for your business. So you need to ask yourself, how is saying yes to these clients and how is it impacting that? And I'm sure if you had a look at that and costed that out, the impact would be quite significant, not only in your lack of time, but also in your mindset. Number 3, remember the Pareto's 80-20 principle. So you might find that 80% of the stuff that you're currently doing is only generating or impacting the amount of revenue that you can make 20% of that. So you need to look at what the activities that you're doing. How are they impacting your business? Are you spending too much time on administrative type tasks which really aren't impacting the work that you're doing with your clients, business building, marketing, getting your message out there, getting your brand out there, all of those sorts of things. So remember the Pareto's principle and concentrate on the activities that are going to drive your business forward. I think that's really important. Fourthly, it's really important to establish firm and realistic goals. Now, I'm a firm believer in having goals and stretching yourself and aiming high, but then there are goals that you set that are so high for yourself, you're constantly struggling to achieve those goals. So make sure that those goals are realistic. For instance, income goals for the year. If you're generating, say, mid 5 figures business, putting a goal that you'd say, I want to make a 7-figure business next year is probably unrealistic. So, set the goals that you know that's going to stretch you and certainly have you move forward and grow in your business and in your abilities, but make sure that they are realistic, and so that you're not setting yourself up for failure or disappointment, because that's really important as well. Number 5, learn to delegate and outsource repetitive tasks. This sort of fits in really well with point number 1, where we said identify your strengths and your interests. Now, there may be certain tasks and functions that are very repetitive that you can outsource, and therefore is going to free up your time to work on the activities that are important, business building activities for your business. So you need to make sure that you learn to delegate those and don't get stuck with doing them yourself. Okay, let's have a look at number 6. Now, this is one that I had to do very early on in my business. I was running a home-based business, and I still have my main business office working from home. And so I found that a lot of my friends and family, because I was working from home, thought that they could pop in at any time to have a coffee, catch up, that sort of thing. But that really did encroach on my time, particularly if I had a deadline and if I had things scheduled. So you need to set up those boundaries and explain to your friends and your family that, hey, you are running a business, and just popping in out of the blue, that sort of thing is really inappropriate. And so I found that once I did that, now I have this respectful relationship with my friends, and they will email or they'll ring me and say, hey, when you've got a free moment in your diary, and I can schedule that in. 7, streamline ineffective, non-existent systems. And what do I mean by that? Well, I could spend a whole webinar on this process alone, or this strategy alone. What are you doing that whilst you're doing it, you often say, oh, I really must look at writing that down, the steps down, so that I'm not wasting my time and doubling up activities and things like that. Or you might find that you're doing something over and over again, but you haven't got a system in place. So it's something that's not streamlined. So you're doing double activities, or errors are occurring because you haven't got an efficient system in place. You know what? Don't do that again. Sit down and work out what's the best way that I can do this process in a very easy, streamlined and efficient way. And you might find is when you get those steps down on paper, you can then monitor it. What's not down on paper and what's not systematized, you can't monitor and track. What you can't monitor and track, you can't improve. And you might find that when you're able to track that, when you've got a system that is down on paper, that might be something that you can then hand on to your assistant or your VA to take over, so that you don't need to do that. And something else which is really important too, and this was point number 21 in my original webinar, was to automate manual processes. There may be things that you're doing in your business now that is manual that you can automate. That there may be a piece of technology that you can set up, or your assistant can set up, that can do things automatic for you. So what are some things that you're doing in your business that's taking you too much time that you can have your assistant automate for you through harnessing the wonderful technologies that we have on our fingertips? So my question to you today, look, those were just a number of the key points that I mentioned in my webinar with my Rubies group. What action will you take to reclaim balance and an extra 5 hours in your week? So my coaching challenge, or my coaching request for you today is, why don't you see if you can implement, say, 1 or 2 of those different strategies in your business, so that you can really start reclaiming back some time, either for you, or that you can reinvest back into your business to work on your business rather than in your business, and a lot of those administrative activities that you can certainly outsource to your support team.